Welcome to VALK Talks. This is the second episode, and we're so just happy for everyone to be here. If you've just joined us, I'd love to see your faces. Please say hi to everyone so we can hear your lovely voices. We're waiting for Jenny and Andrew. They're running a little bit late, but they should be joining us very soon. So in the meantime, let's just introduce ourselves to each other as we also wait for other participants to come in. So let's start with Grace. Hello, smiley face. How you doing?
Hi, Jazz. Hi, everyone.
How's your day been? You good? You cold?
Well, I'm warm.
Looking good, looking good.
I'm actually very warm.
Ah, like that.
Yeah, my day has been good though. It's been a good day. Yeah. Yes.
So you were here last week. So what do you think about last week? How did that go for you?
To be honest, it was very what do you call it? Unexpected. I didn't think that talk could go that way, but it gave a lot of food for thought. Things I never thought about really. So it was a good talk. It was a really good talk.
Ah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we're hoping that today, we'll have a more interactive session like we did last time. We get people to just share their thoughts, because I think when you get it from different points of view, some really interesting things come out. Yeah. Zalia.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Tell us about yourself.
I wasn't here last week. Yeah, I wasn't here last week. So this is my first VALK talk. I'm open-minded and I'm looking forward to learning, to getting to know the team, and just good vibes the whole way.
Nice. What do you know, have you read your constitution? Have you ever gone through it?
Sorry?
Have you ever read the constitution? Have you ever gone through it? Can you hear what I'm saying?
Well,
no.
When I was in high school, and that's over a decade ago.
Yeah.
I need a refresher course for that.
Was there anything in particular that you found confusing when you went through it? Like something that's always stuck in your mind, like, I really want to know this. Yeah? No?
With the constitution, I feel very ignorant, to be very honest. So
don't worry, ain't no shame in the game. Ain't no shame in the game. That's why we're here, you know what I'm saying? So we're trying to figure it out together, like and demystify what this thing is, because we know it's that, but like, how does it affect us? And most of us have not tried it. Just when do you have the time to do this? So you're in the right space, you know.
Yeah.
Hello, Edward. Thanks, Rosario. Hi, Edward. How you doing?
You're actually breaking up a lot. Like I think there's some instability in your network.
All right, I'll check it. Thanks for that.
Thank you too.
Hi, Edward. If you can hear me, join in, sign in, and John.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. That voice, John. Is that John?
Yep.
Nice. So were you there last week? Did you join us last week, or is this your first time today?
I tried last week, but I was only able to do like a quarter. The network really kept shutting me, out.
Yeah, really looking forward to your insights. As an advocate yourself, I think you have a lot to you can
Well,
share with us?
it's a very deep, dark place. It's very unclear to all of us. When you hear a lawyer telling you that the law is clear, run.
Yeah. Why is that? That's interesting. Why'd you say that?
It's a very complex document, very comprehensive, very rich, very robust, and the courts are, still unfolding the jurisprudence that sits in there for us each and every other day. So yeah, thank you. We are learning together.
Well, that gives me a bit of peace of mind, because people act like you should know, and it's like, what?
Nah. It's
It's
a
quite-
living document. It's living,
Right.
and it has all semantics with every new child who is born.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so great. Well, welcome. We're just letting a few more people in, and we're gonna get started shortly. Once we have our other hosts who are running a little bit late, but they will be joining us very, very soon. Who else have we not heard from? Edward and Albert. Please greet the team, say your piece and say hello. No? I think you're muted still. Can't hear you for some reason, Edward.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I am quite well. My name is Edward Nyanaro. I'm glad to be here. I missed out on the last session, so I thought it well to come on board quite early, so I emailed.
Yeah, nice, nice. So we like that. We like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what else do you do, Edward, apart from voiceover work? Is this your side hustle? Is this your main hustle?
I do casting for TV commercials, print, and voiceovers. So I'm the founder of 254 Talent Management.
Yes, you are.
Yes, so I do that. I am a screen and voice actor. I also do emceeing sometimes, and I'm really into the performing arts. I'm a commercial model as well. So for some time now.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. So you must deal with a lot of contracts, like in the line of work that you're doing. You must have to read and go through quite a lot of those. And what's your I don't know if you can hear me, but what's your experience been like trying to enforce your rights when it comes to the these contracts that you have to sign with clients?
Okay, in voiceovers particularly?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, let's keep it voiceover related. Yeah.
So personally, I have had quite a hard time. I can't lie. Okay, in the beginning, it's because I did not know the rates. So I used to go for whatever they are giving me. Then later on, as talent, because I started in 2013, I was just looking out for opportunities so I can be able to get an extra income. That was my mindset then, with no knowledge of how much it should be paid. So over time, I got to interact and meet Jennifer, and I got to also know the come to rate card. And after knowing it, so I had become a premium voice artist for a long period of time. And with my experience, I expected that the pay is going to rise from novice to premium. However, based on the whatever I had, because I used to send out the rate card to either the production house or the person who's contacting me for the job. To some extent, some production houses were not acknowledging it.
Mm.
I do not know why. They
Mm.
do not want to use it. On corporates, direct corporates, I could be able to get away with it. It could actually give me a guide that they respected that I have a rate and this is, you understand, as much as they could come and tell me, we only have this much of our budget. I'm like, okay, this is how much, this is the rate card in entirety based on whatever you want. So we will go by this rate. So that actually, that guideline was a good one, and I could be able to book jobs and follow that, you know?
Yeah.
Though at times some people are just ignorant, or some people just want to pay you less than what you should be paid. And I think it's intentional on their part when they're like, oh, it's just 2 lines. Oh, it's just, you understand?
Yeah.
Especially for IVRs that
Yeah.
I've done.
Yeah.
They don't understand that you actually spend a lot of time to get to that position to deliver those 2 lines in this minimum time.
Right.
So yeah, so I think it's a good way that the corporates need to understand that we do have benchmarks and that they should be followed.
Yeah.
If we can actualize that, that would be a very big win, not only for us, but also for those who are coming after us, which is important.
Well, it's interesting that, you know, your take on that, because when we, last week, we were actually trying to sort of explore that area when it comes to contracts and social contracts, you know, understanding what it takes to do your job, understanding the framework. So, you know, you'd have a situation whereby a young talent will come in and they'll be told, just sign, you know, but then if you understand what the industry is about, then you can begin to negotiate. You can say, actually, no, this is what I'm willing to sign, and I'm not going to sign my life away. You have a responsibility to know your role in this transaction that we're having, you know. Otherwise, and you're right, sometimes it can just be ignorance on the part of both parties involved, the voiceover actor and the client, or the person who is hiring you for the job, because most people do not actually understand what we do. You know, it's just that it's just kalain too. However, but then this line is forever, you know, and it just goes on and on and on. And then you don't understand that, you know, if I do this ad that you can use in perpetuity, it locks me out of other clients that I can do. So it has to have a time limit. And if you don't know the inner workings of the industry that you're in, it can cause quite a bit of friction and can be misused, abused without you even knowing. Yeah, so that's really, really good. Thank you for telling us about your experience. Just like to introduce a couple of more people who joined us. We got KK here, and then Sugilapi. I think you know correctly. Yeah.
So.
Forgive the accent. If I say your name incorrectly, actually just forgive me, please. And correct me. I am okay with that. I don't know if I've heard from Rosalia yet. No? Sugi Lapi? Love the name. Oh, that's nice. You've given us a little hand wave. Okay, if you're feeling shy, don't worry about it. I wanted to, as we're waiting for Jenny and Andrew to join us, I wanted to have a discussion about do you know your constitution? So that's what it is that we're going for, and do you understand the framework? And I'd love to know what you feel about oh, say Jenny's in the house. sorry. So I want to know your thoughts about the Constitution. If I would like to ask someone who might know this better than I do, because I know I'm not too hot on that topic. But I was wondering if John, if you could just join me for a second. I'd like to pick your brain a little bit more about this document and what exactly it means. And maybe you can give us a bit of insight from your perspective on how it affects us as the common folk. From your perspective. Are you there, John? No?
Hello.
Ah, there you go. Hi.
Hi, there's another John? No, it's
No, you,
so I'm
just
not
you.
overlapping.
No, just you.
So what's your question, Jazz?
So I wanted to know if you can give us a little bit of insight from your perspective, how you feel the Constitution kind of affects us as voiceover artists, the things that we should know from a legal standpoint.
Thank you very much. For those in Kenya, we have a Constitution 2010. It is a constitution that is basically a document that generates what governs us as the citizens. And what is important for us all is to note that the Constitution has a Bill of Rights. Amongst the rights we have in there are, for instance, the right to dignity, the right to fair administrative action. And immediately when you mention the right to fair administrative action, you must ask yourself, how is this person you're entering into a contract with treating you? This so-called the consumer, middle person, the ones who we signed a contract with, like I heard Edward mention, contracts where you end up shortchanged. What is a fair administrative action conversation right from there? Are these people treating us well as voice artists? Are we getting the short end of the stick? Or, I mean, how exactly is it? So that again, the Constitution has a provision known as the reliefs provisions, where we say if you are violated, if your rights are violated, whether you're a voice-over artist or otherwise a producer, what recourse do you have? So the Constitution has a provision which tells you that you can seek compensation from the court. The same Bill of Rights in Article 23 then tells you that you can seek orders from court to stop, for instance, the abuse, if it's your voice which is being abused by the media houses or by the person who you have entered into a contract with. The court can issue an injunction to restrain the continued abuse of your voice. Again, the same Constitution has a very good provision in Article 31, which tells you that you have a right to privacy, which means if you feel that the person who you have entered into a contract with is over-consuming or exposing the content, you can again go to court and seek a recourse by way of saying that your right to privacy is being offended and or violated. This is important because, again, for instance, if you're doing a voiceover, which then ends up exposing your image, if it wasn't part of the contract, you can say that indeed there is a breach of your privacy, and you can seek compensation in the same vein. Another very important entry sits in Article 35, which says that you have a right to access to information. Many a times we end up suffering because of non-disclosures. The company who is hiring you does not tell you exactly what you're supposed to know. They're very mischievous from my experience. Jazz, I think you can note that.
Oh,
They
that
don't
you
want to
just
tell
hit
you.
me. You have triggered me so much. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there you go. So
yeah.
you're only getting pieces of information. So the Constitution again tells you that you have a right to access to information. It's a very big content, which connects very well with your right as a voiceover artist. But many a times we continue suffering because of lack of knowledge. We ourselves do not know that those rights sit in there. Another area which is critical for us as voice artists is the consumer rights related, where we say, how long must this intellectual property in your voice last out there?
Right.
Is it going to be until you die? Is it limited? Is it for up to a certain timeline? Can you renew? How do you renew? That boils back then to what I had mentioned earlier, the fair administrative action call. And you can see you will not be able to enjoy that space if you don't know your rights. You signed a contract in a hurry. You didn't read that it's in perpetuity. So you're just hearing your voice every other year, but your pay is not coming. The bank account is not receiving anything. What went wrong? It's ignorance. We did not enter into the contract knowing the content that you're supposed to know when you are signing the contract. Of course, now we also have the intellectual property rights. We are voiceover artists. How well do we define this art? It falls in that space. We're in the technology era. How much of your intellectual property rights do you know? The Constitution tells us that indeed intellectual property rights do exist. And our Constitution is very big when it comes to that property. But how much will you protect that property if you don't know your LR number, your registration number in your voice?
I was just going to say,
Yes.
to add to that analogy, it's very difficult for you to, if our voices was like land, you can try to estimate the value, if things are being played over and over again. But this one, it's like, you can't really tell the value of your voice for past a couple of years. If, let's say, for example, you are, today I'm nobody, and then all of a sudden I blow up and become somebody. Like, let's say like Lupita now, and you have a voiceover of me saying something. And so now obviously that changes the value of your voice. So it's very hard to kind of put a price on it and to know how to you can't basically project the future. But if you are in a position where, like you say, you're able to know for this moment, this is what I'm signing to, you can be at ease, whether or not you get famous or you don't, or your voice adds or declines in value. At least, for this period of time, I'm sorted. Thank you. We have Jenny is in the house also, and I think she has something to say. She's got her hand up. Thank you. John, just stay with us for 1 second. Yes, Jenny.
Hello, everybody. This is Jenny. KK is my brother, Kim Kanari. I'm on his computer because, as some of you may know, my laptop crashed on me. So I'm using my brother's laptop. Glad to see everybody. My question was for what John was sharing. Thank you so much. It was said so beautifully, and also very, very, very important for us to know. When you were talking about an LR number, John, were you implying that intellectual property is seen as property and we therefore get a number like they would give land, which I have or I can claim?
Well, what I was alluding to is the value. Like you'd have a title document, it's a value in that paper. So I was moving towards the direction of how much do we know of our intellectual value? How much can we value our voices? And I was going to move towards the direction of copywriting.
Mm.
How many of our voices are copyrighted? When you go, these voices will remain here. Where are the royalties? Who is going to be earning that? So I'm just poking that thought because I think there's so much value in our voices. I think in America, it's in Europe, some places they're even being insured. So question is, can you insure something that has no value? Indeed, we need to have those conversations as a front so that we get value, so that we're not abused. I have had in the chat group people saying how they abused delayed payments, underpayments. We have a rate card. How much are we applying it? We have Kipi, where we register the intellectual properties. How many of us have thought of knocking that door to register our voices? We are unstoppable, but we can be stopped if we are ignorant of our rights. Back to you, Jazz.
Thank you so much, Sean. That was so insightful. Really, really appreciate your take on that. Now that Jenny's in the house, we were just going through the introductions and the recap of what was happening. So Annie, would you like to take us through the key points that was discussed last week so that we can move on to the introduction of the Bill of Rights?
Sure. I think, well, who was here last week? Grace was here. Yeah. Edward, were you here? I think you missed it. So we had an introduction really about seeing, like John has so well kind of summarized, a big part of why we experience the untidiness, the frustration as voice talent with the contract, to the payment terms, is because we are ignorant of our role in those interactions. We're ignorant, we haven't been indoctrinated into being a voice talent or an actor about the value you bring to that final production, which unfortunately seems to be coming from the client side, where the argument can even begin that we shouldn't pay you this much, even though you're the voice or the face that is promoting that product. And so basing it on this period, well, we have been electoral period and we're still kind of waiting for the numbers, so I think it's a done deal. But yes, we're still waiting for, we've our civic duty, we go to the polls to place a vote without really understanding what guides those people we're putting into positions of ministry towards us, because those are public servants. They're there to ensure the country runs in a certain way. For who? It's for you and me. It's not for them. So that's the first point of kind of restructure our understanding. And I know we know this, but we've always felt hopeless because those guys just run ramshot with whatever they want to do. But I put it to you that if we stood up one by one in that one interaction, because you're not interacting with the government when you're speaking to Scanner, or you're speaking to Grace at level 1, or you're speaking to, it's you and that person and this product with this constitution, with this contract, an agreement. So that's what we were looking at. The same way we are learning in VALK to look at our contract more keenly, have the courage, like Remy, who was here last week, he said, he gave the example how he doesn't baba or fluff when he gets a contract that's unjust. He'll just have the conversation and say, no, we need to change this, we need to change this, and slowly bring them around to what he's willing to accept. Now, in the wider constitutional conversation, from what we're seeing, the Constitution is written in our favor. And from what John has shared, the Bill of Rights protect us and give us a lot of authority and a lot of room to exercise your freedom, your sovereignty. And that's one of the things we looked at last week. What does it mean to be we, the sovereign people of Kenya? What is sovereign? And right from the meaning of the word souverain, super, comes from the same Latin root of suver. You know, the twist of a letter takes it away from where it originally comes from. So it's good to know your word origins, people. Get used to checking that out, especially as a voice talent. So to be sovereign means you are over or above, you're superior to. You're the superintendent, you're the one on top. So you're overruled. What does that mean? How am I overruled? Well, it means when you don't need it, the Constitution is not being broken. When the Constitution comes in when you need an intervention. Because otherwise it's one-on-one, two entities engaging with reason and with a solid group of parameters that we're a job. And we don't need somebody to hold our hand. We don't go knocking on a court door unless we have a problem. So when you understand that you are above the law, presuming that you are guided by whatever interaction, that whatever is relevant in that context, you can prevent yourself from ever needing to knock on that door and to demand your rights, because you're exercising your rights. You're above. I hope that, you know, you're above it. So know that. That was the main thing. Know who you are. And know that when you're doing that, you then truly become the shadow government. You kind of earn your role to be a voice to speak against the public servants who break them. It's because you've been upholding your own part, but it presumes you know what that part is. So it's very educational. This current conversation we're having at VALK Talks is educate yourself on the Constitution the same way you educate yourself or should educate yourself on every contract that is given to you. Even, and this word of mouth, because with international jobs, very rarely will you have a contract. Your messages back and forth about what you agree to be paid, where it's going to be aired, is all written. That is as good as a contract. So you get into the habit of making sure you have a record of that, or you have an email where you say, thank you for agreeing to this, $400 to air it here, and the timeline's by this. And then you ask a question, for example, when would you like us to kick off? So that they respond to that email and you have evidence that they agreed to those, to those terms, which is really what a contract is. It's the itemization of the terms of this project. So yeah, that was last week. Last week we looked at the Constitution. Do you know your Constitution? And do you, I was just giving a coaching class. One of those things is say your long words clearly. Institutionalization and constitutionalization, yes. So yeah, know your Constitution, get your own copy. It's free. There are several versions and they're also friendly online. I'm not asking you to read through it thoroughly, although that's not a bad thing. One of the things we talked about last week was why is it this conversation coming up now? Why don't we know our Constitution from when we were in school? At what point are we supposed to exercise our civic duty if it's not part of our civic knowledge. And not that of kijuju, where you're told there are 3 arms of government, no, but actually knowing and engaging in class. And you know, I learned recently that in America, I don't know if they still do it, they would teach the Constitution to 6, 7, 8-year-olds. It's in the cartoons. No, know your Bill of Rights. They even encourage you to do what we now see the Americans do quite a lot, is question that bill. It's because they know, you know, in the cartoons they would have you, you know, that show this bill is being enacted. Go say no, go to and they'll direct you where to go. So that is holistic education, where you teach, yes, what the governance is about, but also your role, which is guided by the Constitution. It's a social contract for all. How many millions are we now? 43 plus. So because we are now choosing to move as a community, you know, which we also looked at, this borderline that we now call Kenya was not our choice. Someone else imposed it on us. And they're the ones who imposed this constitution on us. Because prior to that, each community had its own set of laws that if you broke, there were ways to mitigate it. And if you didn't agree, you could leave, or, you know, you just couldn't continue to be in that place. So for as long as we're choosing to use this foreign way of leadership, then this set of rules and regulations and guidelines that we call the Constitution is important for you to know, even though it doesn't stop you from functioning without it. Lawyers will tell you, we come to us when all things fail. After you've talked to your parents, the elders, the church, then come to us, you know, and that's a good place to think, to always be, which is, you know, we'll never have to worry as a voice talent of being treated unjustly because you do your due diligence with each job. So yeah, so we had Remy from Nigeria, who's a member of the Voice Actors League, joining us, and he shared why he knows his constitution so well is because he went to a private university in Nigeria and they taught it to him. It was part of the education there. I mean, he spoke like a lawyer. Shouldn't we all be speaking like lawyers, you know, representing ourselves? If we call ourselves adults then, because I was talking with Jazz and we were saying, yeah, how is it we didn't know these things? It's like we're masquerading as adults and learning on the go. This is where we are. So let's do it. Let's with this specific move now that has come because we're at this place in Kenya, the Bill of Rights is huge. We have John amongst us. Maybe one day we can just give him the platform to share more, but he's done a good job today. If anyone's just joining now, you'll want to listen to that section of this, the recording of this, where John laid down what it is that the Bill of Rights actually affords us as voice talent. And it's amazing. It's all positive. Yeah, I think that's it. Have I missed anything out, Chris?
Nope, I think you did a wonderful breakdown of that. Yeah, so just to recap, it's, you know, do you know your constitution, understanding the framework. We have a responsibility to ourselves, and also there's no place to complain if we don't play our part. And so, yeah, it's a very good breakdown. So I think just to move it along, we wanted to just touch on the Bill of Rights, just knowing it and understanding it, what it is and what it's for.
Yeah.
So I was hoping maybe you could enlighten us on that.
So I have mine on my phone. I have the app.
I can share it with everyone on this group.
Sure. But more than anything, rather than going through it all, because John did a great job, is to highlight that it reinforces your freedom to enjoy everything that Kenya has to offer you for as long as you're in this land. Teenagers. What to do? Shall I impose mommy right? Let me finish. Can you hear me outside of? Okay. Yeah. I can care. Okay. So basically the. One second.
Well, as we wait for Annie to come back, does anyone have any questions or any insights, anything that has come to mind that you can share with the group before we continue? Are we all good? Maybe you can give me a thumbs up so I'm aware I don't move on too quickly. We got a thumbs up. We got a thumbs up.
I have something.
All right. Okay.
The Constitution, in one of the articles, which is 33 under the Bill of Rights, says every person has the right to freedom of expression. It includes freedom of artistic creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So we're back, Annie.
What did I miss? Situation contained.
Wonderful, wonderful. John was giving us a breakdown of our freedom of expression. We have the right to do that, and very well put.
Yeah, so it's freedom of expression, which definitely falls within our docket of what we're saying. But it also, the freedom of being able to exercise that freedom with a client who is within that, say, how do I say? When you deal with Scanad, you're dealing with Nani at Scanad. You're not, Scanad is an amorphous entity that cannot speak to you. So that person who you're engaging with, if it's Grace, for example, or whoever it is that's representing their organization, they have to present their company on the same level. It brings them to the same level as you are, or brings you up, maybe, if you have another way to say it, to the level of that company, to that person for this, so they can't hide behind the limited company nature, which is why corporations are incorporated like that, to try and get away from responsibility. Not with you. That's corporation to corporation, sure, but you're not a corporation. So the freedoms that so the Bill of Rights is chapter 4, is that right? I think, and it's the rights and fundamental freedoms that you have. And when you read through it, they belong to individuals. And the part I wanted to show was basically that the state is required to protect them, to hear you when they've been violated for free, without imposing any need to sound like a lawyer or no legality, to allow you into those courts, for example, without any reference to a lawyer. So if a magistrate, or sometimes they do, tells you, speak, what have they told me in the past? Come back when you can speak legal language. Just point them to the Bill of Rights, actually, to show them that that they've taken that high position and moved outside of what their role is. towards you. Yeah, that was basically it. From what John was sharing. All these things about you can seek compensation. If your voice has been abused, you can go there. The consumer rights, the right to information within your contract, the IP rights, international. Yes, know that. But for me, the Bill of Rights frees you to engage in a way that you demand these things up front, so that you never need to go to court, is what I'm trying to say. If you go to court, you know that the court needs to hear you. But if you can avoid going to court, that's the most superior route. And so knowing what it is that is protected gives you an understanding of what is presumed you know, or presumed you're functioning in. Yeah. So that's really all I wanted to say about reading the Bill of Rights. It opens your mind to just how accommodating, how presumptuous, or how presuming the state, the nation, the understanding of who you are as a member, a citizen of Kenya, is for you. And you may never have thought about the freedoms that belong to you, because you've never, in a way, we've never really known freedom. I mean, we're still living under colonial ways in so many ways. What is freedom? Why are we still voting in? What is freedom? Yes. Don't get me started. So, let's see if all I can say is it's a huge chapter. We can't cover it here. We cannot cover it in the VALK talks. It's like Gumbaru. We're going back to school under the trees, in the privacy of your own home. Take the time to read it through. It will open up your mind, Grace. And then it'll even inform some of our conversations when we start to talk about what I believe these VALK talks will kind of organically become, where we're taking incidences and things that we've been experiencing or are experiencing. We feel we're not quite conversant with how to handle it, and then let the experiences of those who've gone before us fill that gap for us, so that we are no longer without knowledge about how to operate in experiences like that again. Yeah.
So I had a question. That was such a great breakdown. Just so that I understand you clearly, when you're talking about us not being corporations, could you just go back to that whole me dealing with if I'm talking to someone at Scanners, could you just go through that? Because there was a point that I had, but I want to make sure that I understand you clearly about who we're dealing with at what point during the negotiation process, if you will.
Right. So you may know that corporations, so the whole constitution, laws and regulations came about generally because of trying to manage the empire, for example, British Empire, trying to manage her little empirelets, and so they were seen as corporations. So Kenya's a corporation, hence we have a president. Think about that. All corporations have presidents, vice presidents, etc. So we're seen as corporations. And so the language of individuality, individuals, persons is attributed to corporations also. So they'll speak to Scanad as if it's actually called a person, person, in legalese. So for you to be above those traps that are set in our contracts and things, is you have to recognize that, or choose not to operate as the corporation they want you to think you are, and therefore you're subject to all these laws and restrictions, is go back to what the Constitution told you at the beginning. You are sovereign, you're above the rule. And therefore you deal with other people. So not amorphous corporations that cannot speak, that there's no government of Kenya, for example. There is the minister of, and the minister of, and the president, and it's all individuals who take on the responsibility of that office. So when you have a job with a corporation, it's somebody from that corporation will call you. That's the person you're dealing with, because they represent the whole organization that wants you to come to them on behalf of their client, right? So when you're having this discussion about contracts and the terms of contract, you're speaking to Khadija. And Khadija will then go back, if you have incident, she will go back to whoever makes the decisions at Scanad to say this is not going to happen with Jennifer or with Jazz. And then that person gives Khadija, yes, okay, Coca-Cola really wants her, so give her what she wants, rewrite the and let her sign. Or we can't work with her, tell her it's take it or leave it, and we have a direction in either way, right? So just know that you're dealing with individuals, and keep that clear in your mind. And so you don't feel ever that the full weight of the corporation is against me, I'm fighting. Anything bigger than another person, another sovereign individual. Yes. Does that help?
Yeah, that's like, it's super helpful, because I know starting out, it gets really overwhelming when you're a novice, and you're told there's this production, there's this agency, and when they are wooing you, they will use that relationship with you. It'll be about, my guy, see, we just, it's just for me. Let's just, and you're like, oh, I'm dealing with a person. It's amazing. And you feel so excited. And then when things get a bit hairy, all of a sudden the face changes, and it's the organization that you're dealing with. Now it's like, there's nothing, it stops being you and I, it becomes, there's nothing we can do about it. That's the way they handle it. And you can just see you're being thrown under the bus. All of a sudden that face is gone. And it's a true shock to the system. And, I don't know, I cannot count how many times I found myself in a situation whereby I am no longer dealing with a person. This person is no longer there. The way they're talking to me like a robot. And that can get quite disheartening sometimes. When you're trying to settle an issue, let's say if it's payment, you haven't been paid in a long time, all of a sudden the client, it's the client. Who is the client? Like, you can never actually pin anybody down, because there's, all of a sudden it's the brand manager. There's no name to it. There's nobody. It's just these titles that we start dealing with. And it really messes with your mind. So it's quite enlightening to me to know that that's how I should be thinking. It's just like, no, I'm dealing with so and so. I'm dealing with a person, and this is the person that I had a contract with or I spoke to. But sometimes, you'll get messed up in this corporate kind of setup where you're not just dealing with one person. They'll switch bait. Someone else will come talk to you. You're sent to this person, sent to that person. And so there's never really a formal line of communication. And I guess I'm wondering, it's an open question to everyone. If, what can be the solution to something like that? How would you advise somebody when they are trying to deal with a corporation as a freelancer, for example, how to maintain their cool and perspective, or I don't know how to phrase it, but what's the best way to handle that bait and switch, where it's in the beginning, it's dealing with you and me as a person, but when things get hairy, all of a sudden it's boom, boom, that face comes on, the corporation now starts talking to you? It's an open question. If anyone has ever found an effective way of doing this sort of thing.
Hi.
Gonna ask Grace.
Okay, from someone who sat on both sides of the table, one, generally as Kenyans, we need to learn how to change how we do business. That's a fact. And that's not making an excuse for anyone, but it's just a fact. It's the reality of things. We need to change the way we do business. And the way that starts is by one, I like what Jenny has said, you're dealing with an individual. Now, from someone who's been a producer first, when I first started out and I had to call voiceovers, I was always acting on the history of how things were done. Then I get into a space where I'm seeing, I don't like the way things are done, but I feel like I don't have the power to change the way things are done. So my first reaction was, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be handling, voiceover artists. I'm not going to be handling everyone. And my boss is like, at the end of the day, it is your job to handle these people. So figure out a way that you can handle them and handle me at the same time. And I think when you approach the situation like this is another human being just like you, and yes, they have rules and regulations that they need to follow, because at the end of the day, any business is out to look out for themselves. Like you, the voiceover artist, you're looking out for yourself, but you don't get things done by being forceful also. Like don't ever approach a situation where you go like, I'm a voiceover artist, I know my rights. Like, I know you know your rights. I know, I do, I really honestly do. But if you come at me in that context, human nature, I'm gonna be like, okay, you want to show force, I will show you force back, because I am very happy to hide under my boss. My boss is very happy to hide under the client. The client is very happy to hide over the person that she's answerable to into the business. But I have learned how, if you do know your rights, just simply have a simple conversation and be like, this is not how business is done. So let us create a relationship with the people that you're talking to, in the sense that even when they frustrate you, you have that open door to say, you're frustrating me, you've not paid me. Because when I go back to my boss, I'm fighting for you now. It's no longer that whatever I believe that should be the right thing or not. I'm like, okay, I have a voiceover artist we've not paid in 90 days. Even if it's anything, come on. How are we being fair to these people? We need them at the end of the day. That conversation is what my boss goes to the client with, and goes like, yo, you're making me look bad. And at the end of the day, I will start telling people you're the one who's bad and you don't want to have that reputation. And they go like, okay, fine. And they sort it out. But at the end of the day, I feel like there has to be a balance between you fully knowing your rights and you using that knowledge to get what you need in a soft. You start there, I guess.
That's dope. That's dope. It's all about relationships, basically, and your ability to create connection. That's amazing. I like that approach, because sometimes you can get really stressed out and you forget you're dealing with a person, man. And you start taking out your issues from way back when. I was 6 and I've been dealing with this all my life. And then before you know it, like, it's a court case. So thanks. That's a great take.
Yeah. I exactly what I was gonna say. And Grace has that, like she said, she sat on both sides. And also, like she said, it's a growth process. Where you start and you're doing like all of us did. This is how VOs operated, kind of blind, until you recognize your role and responsibility and even strength, because you're looking out for the company. Like Grace is saying, you're looking out for the organization by taking care of the talent. In fact, sometimes people would say, hey, just write an email, write us something so we can give it to the boss, so that they can see your angst. Help us help you. you know, because we feel you, but, you know, we're torn. So you learn how to work the system so that everyone is protected and you still get what you deserve. And maybe that's the only thing I would add is, if you're demanding all this, you must be bringing the goods. So that, as much as it's your performance, it's also being on top of knowing your value and being able to what's the word I want? To defend it. You know, that's even why we had novice and premier. Was as a novice, you know you want those jobs. You're willing to take the less fee, you know, not be treated any differently, but you're willing to take less money because you're going to spend more time in the studio. You want them to know you. You want Grace to get to know that you're good to work with. There's a learning curve in everything. And when you're coming in as, you know, like Edward was saying, I'm now a pro, it presumes you're coming in as a pro. You're 2 take, 1 take, 3 takes, and you're good. But you also are able to talk rates like you are conversant with the fact that there's a structure. Or even before there were rate cards, there were people coming in with rate cards, you know? And so, yeah, bring the goods so that it's you know, the client can actually see, yeah, this person is worth this extra. One last thing I wanted to share. That
Jenny,
kind
with
of
your permission.
yes.
John would like to say something.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the slot. Grace, I listened to what you're saying and I ran to the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights has further provisions which promote access to justice. Article 48. So let's not sit on that avenue. Then again, the Bill of Rights in Article 159 tells us that disputes can be resolved through alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. So that if we're in a conflict platform, we can invoke prompt mediation. We can prompt arbitration so that it's not all the time gloves out, because we must also remember that these corporates are the ones that are giving us work. Do we exit in an amicable fashion, or do we all the time have to, you know, do bare knuckle fights? Thank you.
Noted, John. The key word is relationship. Now we need these clients. You need Grace, you need whoever calls you when they need a job in a quick, you know, quickly. They know you'll deliver. So yes, we're learning not to respond with anger or with frustration, to learn how to talk about it, which also includes not having to invoke a third party, being able to resolve whatever we're unable to get, you know, find a place where we can find a compromise even, you know, and learn how to phrase that, you know. And for the sake of the relationship, I know that I have taken less because I know where I've come from with this client. And I know they call me on the fly, you know, and I can go back to them and, hey, remember me, and, you know, because everyone gets busy. But I respect and I honor that relationship. However, there are clients where we've had a long relationship. They seem to forget it. And we're talking this long back and forth about, hey, when are you going to pay me good? 1 year down the line. And when I then say, at this point, I need to introduce a third party intervention, that makes them wake up. So I've still avoided going to the third party and going to court or bringing in. For me, Kituo cha Sheria was my go-to because they were for the little guy, and for hardly anything. And they would represent me because I didn't know that I could represent myself. And I think I felt out of depth. I was not there. I wasn't here when I had those issues. But because I said, hey, it seems our relationship, I don't want to sour it anymore. I've been advised, my terminology was, I've been advised to introduce third-party intervention. It's not me. My people are saying, since you're stressed so much, you know. So I'd put it like that, and then they'd say, no, come in and let's have a discussion. And then we'd find they would pay, you know. So yes, the avenue of going to court and bringing in, you know, invoking that will always is there. I'm just advocating to avoid getting there. That's what I'm saying. And you can avoid getting there by using their presence. So that is an out. Because no one wants to be embroiled in court. And usually the amounts we're talking about, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for them. Yeah. There is a case with Safaricom, not a case, this is not legal. This is a success negotiation that happened for, I don't know if you remember the first billboard, the Maasai guy who they had his picture of using a cell phone to show Safaricom reaches everywhere. And so his billboards were everywhere. The person who negotiated the contract for that Maasai, I forget who it was, negotiated for copyright. Before it's still not a conversation people are having. But that guy got money based on the knowledge that the person who was given the authority to negotiate on this Maasai's behalf, who knew nothing. I mean, he could have been paid 70K, if at all, to have his picture on a billboard and he'd have been happy. But this guy said, the amount of money Safaricom is making on you, let me take care of your children for you. And he wrote, and he was getting, for every time that picture was on the, you know, stayed up there on the streets or was in the newspaper and is ever used again, he was going to get some money from it. That is just an example of how, even outside of the parameters of what may be presented to you in the contract, you can think beyond it and introduce that into your contracts and into a conversation. Yeah. Last thing I want to say, it was a Mzungu man who did that for this Maasai, which seems to have some say. Any jobs that I've done where there's the Mzungus, speaking of Mzungus, the money was so much more. There was no issues. There were no issues with the amounts or the payment terms. So there is still a degree of, what can I call it, colonialism in this industry that we got from them, that we adopted from them. Here, when it's, you know, a scanner, maybe not even scanner is largely Indian, but when it's that level of people who think of themselves in a certain way, dealing with you. So you need to think like them and, you know, yes, I don't know if that helps. And that my point was, you won't find that internationally, which again is my encouragement to cast your work, Grace, no, but cast your work away from this border so that when you come back here, either you're not interested in it to debate, or you're coming at it with that confidence, like one of them, that I've done this job with your compatriots, and you have evidence, and this is what they paid me, and I'd like to continue with that sort of relationship. You know, hey, that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of strength to come at Kenya from that route. because we're using their rules and regulations and style of everything. You see? Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenny, for taking us through today's talk. I mean, it's so enlightening, and I just wanted to know before we are coming close to 5:30, does anyone have any questions? The people have spoken, any comments that you'd like to share with us? Because I know you just, I'm still stuck on that, how to deal with corporations as an individual, because I think when you get stylized in that train of thought, where you become a bit mechanical, at least I can see that for myself, where you forget that who you're dealing with is another person. So that to me, it's just been my take home, learning how to deal with people, not corporations, because we're not, we're not brands, we're not businesses, we are actually human beings, and we're sovereign, and we can have a relationship with one another. Yes, Andrew. It's all right, Edward.
Hi there. That was very enlightening, Jenny, and as you've spoken about that, personal relationships really matters, and that I think I have had quite some issues with a couple of corporates, and I spoke to Jenny because I was very frustrated at that particular moment, and though I ended up not following it up, but after this conversation, I feel like they're still using my voice as IVR for their company, and I recorded more than 15. So I lost around 300,000. And at times we get frustrated because we are like thinking, okay, so I'm gonna go against this corporate, then I'm gonna lose out on any other work that is gonna come up. There's always that frustration that comes with it. Also, based on the same
Is that me, or has Edward hung?
okay. So it becomes quite challenging because people are different. So you might find this one person who does not understand how is it that you're paid this much, or they ask you to come up with your proposal, and when you do, they use your proposal and get another voice artist. That has happened to me. and frankly speaking, I feel a sense of even those people who are gatekeepers in these institutions at times feel like we're getting too much, in my opinion. And at times I have encountered those who feel like you need to give them something for you to get that job, which in my work ethic, I feel like it's not something that I should do to warrant me to get a job with them. So there are those, but you can tell this from their body language that they are literally and probably asking for something, but they're not articulating that, One other thing that I have encountered, and I feel like we need to talk about, is when you find some people in a marketing department of a company and you have negotiated rates, say I've said I need 30,000 for this job, and they're telling you, okay, the company cannot be able to give you that, they're going to give you 20. Then you end up agreeing on 20. Then to find out that thereafter, when you've recorded, the company actually agreed to 30. So they send you the money. I used to get the money immediately after my recording on M-Pesa. They give me the money. Then this person who is a contact person demands to get 10,000 shillings from my pay. So it's quite a tricky thing that we deal with at times when we're dealing with these people. And it's something that I feel, I don't know whether you face the same situations or maybe it's just me, or how do you go about such? I think I'll hold it there.
Yes, thank you, Edward, for bringing that out. Even as, as I've just been listening to a lot of stories like this, I've just been asking myself, what really is going on here? And yes, for those who don't know me, I'm Andrew Opere. I am Jazz's assistant. And,
Welcome.
and I think something that I've noticed that I think we probably do not articulate, that this is a character problem. It's a behavioral problem. Because I've noticed such stuff does not happen when you go to the kiosk, or even when you're involved, let's say, in banking. Things are clear cut, they're written down. And for some certain reason, I've noticed in environments where there's no structure. Hence, I'm not surprised in areas where the law is transparent, those areas tend to thrive. In areas where the law is not transparent, then that's when, for lack of a better word, shenanigans happen. So for example, this past week I was involved, I went to a place where Uchaguzi, where they're looking at social media posts. It's an initiative by Ushahidi, where they're tracking the behaviors on social media, policies, violations, what's working and all that. And I met a Nigerian, and they're saying that Kenya has come so far ahead in this voting election process. So they're observing it to take tips back to their place. And one thing that they pointed out was because of the structure, and if we rewind like 10 years ago, we didn't have this structure. So if there were any election shenanigans and we were to raise our voices, there'd be no place to have these things be addressed. But now, shenanigans are much difficult to happen because of the transparency of information. What is there that needs to be done when there's a discrepancy, who's the authority, and what have you. So what I'm just thinking, this is just my observation and my thinking, is we need to come to that place of structure, and the fact that we have VALK as a group of people. I've noticed that globally, people respond to a group or a forum rather than an individual. So I think all we need to do is just keep on doing what we're doing. And I think more engage the help of IP lawyers and other markets where they've been able to, where they have mature interactions. Because I know that this may be a global challenge, but obviously in other areas, they have dealt with such things. Those are just my observations for now. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's really cool, Andrew. Thank you for that, like giving us that perspective about having structure. Because I feel like, Andrew, Edward, I feel you, bro. Because I'm on this other side. I'm all about the artist. So it can get quite distressing when you're trying to have a relationship with someone, but you can clearly see that they're taking advantage of the lack of systems to mess with you. And sometimes, that is what is truly happening. As much as we want to say, let's have a relationship and all of that, this behavioral issue that we have, the thing where you can see someone is just sitting there looking at you like, nope, not gonna do that, nope. And also being on the other side of the situation, looking at when someone just expects you to pay them whatever they want because they've come with some preconceived notions of how great they are. you know, what they're demanding is not nearly as much as they're worth, really. It's not what we have called you for. And you've clearly misunderstood the assignment. So, you know, that lack of, I guess, structure and also to some degree, emotional intelligence, you know, it can really sort of be a wonderful battleground. When you don't understand yourself, you don't understand the system, that's where we get into serious problems. And then, you know, things flare up because of these misunderstandings. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, Andrew. That was wonderful. Lucy, you had something to say. And Edward, if you still have more to input, please, by all means. But we can start with Lucy, Edward, and I think Grace also, you had something to say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just listening in. I'm a novice. Jazz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Yeah, I'm a novice, so I am taking comfort in this information because I wasn't aware about half of the things that Jenny's been talking about here. Just knowing that there is a system behind there that protects this particular talent is a good thing because, like I say, I'm a novice, I'm new in this. So thank you so much for these insights and getting me interested. Now, guess what? There's an app here for the Kenyan Constitution. Wow. Hey, I know it's many pages, but I will start with it and go through it and hopefully also pick on other issues about my own country and just being informed and being knowledgeable. Thank you so much, guys. This is amazing. Thank you.
And Lucy, please do, and the rest of everyone here, please do share with us your questions, your insights, because without feedback, we really cannot know how to focus on both the pain points and the areas that need addressing or the areas that are working. So each and everyone here, this is a fluid, collaborative experience. So even after this ends, let's not end the learning here. You know, share this with your voiceover friends. I'm sure you know one friend that says, oh yes, I'd love to get into voiceover, but I don't know where to begin. Share with them. And even for the OGs, you know, like Jennifer and the rest of our Kenyan and international counterparts, please, let's invite them. I know life is busy, what have you, but this is our space to grow. And any environment has gone through this growth process, whether it's the, you know, Academy Awards that you want to, you know, that maybe might be the standard or one of the standards you look up to. Every organization has gone through this, and it is the voice of the people that lends the direction. So that's why we need your interaction and your input. So thank you very much, Lucy, for that. And everyone, please open your voices. Let us hear your voice, because we're here actively for you. Thank you.
We're at the end of our time, but to be continued. And I'd like to talk more about Edward's situation, because that is something that we had talked about in the WhatsApp chat group, and something Ayuma raised in her training, how we can shortchange ourselves. So to find the middle ground, how between everything we've spoken about today, relationship, conducting yourself, you know, in that relationship. And one of the key things that Edward brought up is when new people come and you're starting a new relationship, and the people who you're now interacting with are not so scrupulous, or, you know, have all those different shenanigan type characters, what to do in a situation like that. So we hear you, Edward, to be addressed. Even those 15 videos, we need to get that for you. So yes, Andrew, the Voice Actors League growth, everybody, thank you. You are making us larger. We are a bigger voice, louder voice. and can be the backup in many different ways, even just knowing that we're here and moving forward with some of the ideas Andrew has. So those are the things we'll be talking about. If we make any headway with them between now and the next VALK talk, we'll definitely bring it up and share. But in the meantime, let's keep talking. Let's keep talking and figuring our way above anything that's dogging us from giving our best performance and getting the remuneration that really is worth the work you're putting in. As we wind up, Jazz, let me let you do this. Go ahead and let everybody know about the things on the horizon of the voiceover. Please don't miss out on the things that are, besides VALK, there are other voices that feed us. So go ahead, Jazz.
All right. So we wanted to remind you that we're going to have VO Africa 22, which is an amazing workshop. You don't want to miss it. We had it last year, and it's just a wonderful collection of voiceover talent and voice coaches from all over the world. And we have an opportunity to participate. And so we just urge you to take advantage of the discount that is currently for us as VALK members. And also they have different levels of discounts in case you missed the ones that was open to us. The offer ends on the 16th of August. So please get your tickets to this conference. It's an amazing thing. You don't want to miss out. It will be on the September from the 9th to the 11th. So if you really want to know more about voice acting, make connections, network, understand what voiceover this industry is about, and also to a large extent what the other communities and people are doing abroad, this is a great place to just figure all that out. So we really encourage you to take advantage of that. Also,
yes. In fact, I reiterate that. Imagine having the people that trained Omanyala in voiceover all under one roof from all over the world. So guys, this is not even a suggestion. If you want to take your voice over to the next level, join this thing now. And Kenyans, I know we like doing things at the last minute. Look, get your discount at the 16th of August. It's worth it, because think about it. It's like Zoom. You have people from all over the world. And then there's even a networking session. So you can look at their names and their bios, what they've done. You're like, this is interesting. I want to see what's going on. Voiceover in Egypt, in the UK, in the US, in the whatever. And then you can easily have conversations with these people. So guys, clear your schedule during that time. Be prepared to learn, have your notebook, notepad, and trust me, last year I learned so much. I got to see so much. I got to learn so much. I'm implementing the relationships I made. So if you said that you want to network, don't just know this person that's going to leave to the next company. Get to know the main persons in the voiceover world, all the Omanyalas, the Kepchoges, and all the top people sharing you the secrets and what's going on. Jazz, you got it.
So thank you. That was a word from our sponsors. And so back to normal programming. If you are not a member, I would highly suggest that you join VALK. And we're going to have more and more of these talks, and obviously it will be a really great opportunity to access all this resource and information that we will be sharing with you. And so, I think we'd love for you to become a member. If you'd like to become a member, send us an email at voiceactiveleague@gmail.com. Also, we are looking to get our own Zoom business account. So we are asking you for your support. We need to get some monetary funds for this. If you are interested in supporting us so that we can get our own business account, we would love your support. Please just send me a heads up. Yes, you're interested, and we'll get you all the information, and it would be very, very helpful to us. So yeah, thank you so much. And oh, Grace, you have something to say. Your hand's been up for a while. So just before I go, Sama Bilona Sama. Final thought.
And I just wanted to address the thing Edward said about the kickbacks. Edward, if your fear is not getting another job because of what they'll say, imagine, don't give them that feedback. Don't give them that kickback. If they're not your agent, if they're not your manager, don't pay anyone to give you work, because your voice has already sold themselves. As in, this I feel very, very strongly about. Just don't, like, let not no one put that as a cap to, or if you don't give me this, that you won't get another job anywhere. No, that's not true. It's a lie from the pits of hell. So just don't agree to it, please.
Agreed. And usually it's not even put in those words, but it's that pressure again, it's the way that things are communicated to you, like being blacklisted and things like that. This is where we need to stand our ground. Stand your ground. I agree with that 100%. Maybe that's what we should take a look at next week when we talk about more about the Constitution, and maybe try to integrate how we navigate these murky waters when it comes to human relationships, and how to negotiate without getting personal, without hitting below the belt, and actually understanding what it is that you're asking for. I think that would be something that we should take a look at. So thank you so much. We're going to be here again next week, and you will be getting a recording of this session so that you can look back over it and meditate on it. And maybe if there's some questions you have for next week, feel free to send us an email of some of the things that you feel like we could discuss and you'd like to know, so that we could do our research and get the right people on this platform at this time to help us sort of figure this out together. Thank you so much for everyone that has come through. God bless you and keep you, and we'll see you next Friday.
And before we go, please do share a comment on Facebook in the VALK group. We have a VALK Facebook group. If you're not already in there, look for VALK group on Facebook. We need your feedback. Just share one main takeaway that you got from this conversation so that we can build up on it. Also, we're on Instagram, so please just do, take a quick screenshot, do a small video of yourself, say that, oh my God, the VALK meeting sucked, I'm not gonna go for it again. Or, oh my God, it was awesome. This is what I learned about the Constitution. So guys, that thing of being taken advantage of, we need to address. So whatever comment you feel you'd like to share is up to you. And even when you're sharing it, remember using the hashtag of VALK whenever you're sharing on social media. We need your help for this to grow. So please, I'm expecting, let me see, Grace, Lucy, Edward, John, Nick, Shugilapi, Asega, Jerry, we're looking forward for your feedback. Just that one takeaway. So please, let's do that within 5 minutes of this ending. Don't let it go until tomorrow. Thank you very much for attending this. We appreciate your support and your energy. I hope your lives have been impacted by this, and hopefully you're going to become a better voiceover artist throughout your journey, and we've supported you in your goal. Go out there and crush it and be the best that you can be. Thank you, Jazz. Thank you, KK. And all of you in the room, you guys have been wonderful.